Now when we talk about bad characters in Melee, there are two characters that typically come to mind, Kirby and Bowser. But there's another low tier with a uniquely underwhelming moveset that tends to get swept under the rug, and that's Zelda. Zelda has an enormous list of weaknesses that don't get discussed as much as they should, so in this video, I'll be breaking them all down. It's no secret that Zelda's mobility is the absolute bottom of the barrel, having the worst wave dash and dash speed in the game. But on top of that, she also has a below average jump squat and one of the slowest fast falls as well, making her a sitting duck when above an opponent. But that's only the least of her problems, with her large arsenal of either very situational or completely useless moves. Her down tilt is a very good example of this, as it wields incredibly weak knockback, subpar damage, and doesn't even take the opponent off the ground until around 80 to 100%, depending on the character's weight. And if that wasn't bad enough, your opponent will usually receive the frame advantage as well, as it takes more time for Zelda to recover from her own move than the person actually hit by it. Another awful move in her kit is her up air. Its enormous startup means you can't do it in response to your opponent's movement and purely by reacting. You have to make a read and guess where they're gonna go in order for it to connect to neutral. In general, most of her aerials are pretty dreadful. Her down air is pitifully weak. It has almost no utility in neutral due to its extremely low priority and does so little knockback that it's barely even effective off stage as an edge guarding tool. On top of that, it can be meteor cancelled, meaning that it's not even a true spike. Her combo game is not ideal. Above 30%, her up tilt begins to send the opponent too far horizontally to really follow up, and oftentimes, she doesn't have the speed or mobility to effectively tech chase them. Grabbing with Zelda is a huge commitment, as it takes 12 whole frames to come out and is extremely punishable by characters with a longer range than her. Her up smash just doesn't function properly, as it's easily escapable and each move doesn't link together as it was originally intended to. Even if they did, its power is just underwhelming and should definitely kill quite a bit earlier. Let's talk about Zelda's specials. Her neutral special is essentially like Fox's Shine, except it takes noticeably longer to come out and you can't jump out of it. You can throw it out every once in a while to keep your opponent honest, but it's mostly just a surprise tactic with only occasional usefulness. Controlling Zelda's side B feels incredibly stiff. You have such little control over its trajectory overall, and once you aim it where you want it to go, there's a period where it disappears before you can even land it, giving your opponent time to reposition. It has some niche utility for edge guarding, but that's about all it has going for it. While her up B does cover a lot of distance, its falling speed is abysmal, and its landing lag is quite substantial as well. Once you understand how it works, her up B is very vulnerable to edge guards. Her kit in general is pretty exploitable. But surprisingly, she does have some really good traits that I might touch on in a future video, but sadly, they won't be enough to save her from being an absolute low tier. That's all for today, thanks for watching.